Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bari Connected podcast. So happy to have each of you here today. We are being joined by an amazing guest, Akeel Bernard, who is a coach and just a wonderful person altogether. I met Akeel back a few months ago. It's probably been a little more than that, back at the Bariatric Society retreat. And my first time meeting him, and immediately just fell in love with him and what he does, and knew that he had to be a part of you guys' lives as well. So, tell you a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. We are going to be, the title for our topic today is Unstuck and Thriving. And Akeel really kind of just specializes as a transition coach and helping guide individuals through transitions in life. And you know what, guys? I know if you are on this journey with us, you are going through some kind of transition, and he is able to help with that. One of his specialties is career and health transformation. Both of those things. So we're going to be kind of incorporating some of that, blending mindset coaching, wellness practices,
All the
all
things.
of that kind of good thing. Yes, 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 yes. And so, Akil, oh, before I kind of have you kind of come in and talk even more, I want to say, if you're on this call, please let us know that you're here. Say hello. If you're on the live event, let us know where you're from. If you feel like sharing something about your weight loss journey, we're here for metabolic health. So whether if you're just losing weight naturally, if you're on a GLP-1, if you're having weight loss surgery or had it, let us know, and let us know where you're from. So at that, Akil, I'm going to kind of turn it over, and I want you to tell more about yourself and what got you into this industry.
Absolutely. You gave the best intro, FYI. I love your intro. Thank you so much. Hey, everyone. As Brenda said, my name is Akeel Bernard, and I am a transition and transformation coach. So I bridge the gap between life and career because those are the two parts of our lives that intersect the most, right? Like work is how we take care of our family, and our careers are a big part of where we spend the majority of our time, and then all the other aspects of life. So at first I used to call myself a life coach, and then I was like, you know what? Life coaching is great, but I'm still working on myself. So until I've mastered a keel, I just kind of like to call myself a life and career transition coach because that's where I find myself to be most helpful. I've been coaching for the past, I feel like I've been coaching forever, but with my certifications and all that, I've been coaching for the last 5 years. I've coached folks all the way from burnout. I've done some emotional intelligence coaching. I've done some communication coaching. So I've blended my coaching in many different ways. But what I feel the most connected to is always bringing it back to wellness, because that's my lived experience. It's just tapping into wellness and moving my life from where I was, true to the title. I was stuck and in a depressive state. I was dealing with anxiety and depression, all of these different things, and it affected my health. And by way, I got diagnosed with things like type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, diagnosed anxiety and stress. You name it, I've had it or have it. And what triggered everything for me to kind of make the change in my life was losing my youngest brother. I lost him when he was 14. Tragically, I would say that, and my family's been healing from that ever since. So for me, losing my brother actually pushed me into a space of wanting to heal myself. And in healing myself, I actually found the genuine calling to help other people create more space for healing, not only within their personal lives, but also in their career, transitioning out of spaces that no longer serve them into spaces that feel fulfilling and feel purposeful. So all of that wrapped up into I love being in service. I love helping people. I love helping people find clarity and moving forward with confidence. So yeah.
I love that. I got a question for you.
Yes.
So I know one thing we have in common is we both like integrative medicine,
Mhm.
energy medicine, that type of thing. When you say the word healing, this is one question I've asked myself. What do you think that means? Like when, what do you
Yeah,
think that
that's
looks like?
a powerful question. I think healing looks different for everybody, all right? It really depends on the stage that you're at in your life. But what, for me, what stems or what's the seed for healing is first self-reflection. I think in a lot of instances, you have to look deeply in yourself to find out, okay, what exactly am I healing? And sometimes you can't do it by yourself. Sometimes you need to reach out to professionals to actually give you a non-biased or unbiased opinion or feedback around what you might be dealing with and how it might be showing up in your life. For me, I worked with two people that I believe saved my life. I worked with a therapist named Dr. Bernard, Bernard Hopkins. His first name was my last name. And we worked together, Bernard Nichols, sorry, I don't want to get his name wrong. And we worked together for about a year, and he helped me to really understand where I can start in my healing journey as far as like acknowledging the traumas that I dealt with in my past. Growing up in the Caribbean, there are a lot of things that I dealt with that I just assumed was normal. Looking back at who I was at that time when I started therapy, I thought I was just going there to start my healing journey. After losing my brother, I ended up dealing with so much more. I talked about the relationship with my father. I talked about growing up and have being the first child of four, and the expectations I've always needed to be perfect, or always feeling that I needed to show up first and leave last, and how that transferred into my career. We talked about all the things. And when we were done working together, I asked him, I was like, so what's next? I feel like we've talked about everything. And he said to me, go live your ideal life. And I was like, how many more sessions do I need to do that? And he was like, that's not what I do. I deal with the past and I deal with your traumas and what impacted who you are today. Now you have to go work with a coach so that you can work with this person to move forward with confidence and with ease. And I started working with that particular coach, and him and I worked together for a year. And throughout our journey coaching together, I actually found out that I love coaching. And I decided to enroll in school and get my coaching certifications. And I've been helping people ever since.
So rewarding to see as people move forward. I feel like each of us has been at a stuck point at some point in our life.
Yeah.
And to me, what that looks like is just feeling like nothing is moving, no matter what we feel like we're doing. It's kind of like looping. And let's kind of start in with that
Mhm.
too. Also, do you want to share anything about your own personal health journey at all?
Absolutely. So I had the VSG surgery back in 2021. So it's been a while. I lost 85 pounds my first time around. And my wife also had the VSD as well. I did mine first and she did hers 2 weeks after. So combined, we lost a good 100, almost 140 or 50 pounds together. So we decided together we wanted to make a conscious effort to go through this together, to change our lifestyle because we knew we wanted to start a family, which we just started our family. I have a brand new 6 week old. Her name is Robin. And before she was even a thought, we decided we wanted to be here for our kid or kids or children long term, which required us to make some life changes, starting with getting our life under control, getting our weight under control, and getting in the gym. Now, my wife, she goes to the gym religiously. I do CrossFit religiously. We are active people, and we want to be able to pass that down to our little girl so that she understands, you can get ahead of it. You don't have to hit rock bottom and then make the changes. So that's another thing that we're going to have to navigate is how do we, push for a more healthy living lifestyle for her without projecting our own traumas onto her, what we dealt with. So full-time job in addition to parenting.
It sounds like you're thinking it through, though. I mean, with parenting, there's not really a book that comes with it. We kind of learn as we go, and our kids teach us as much as we teach them.
Absolutely.
For sure, there's all of these different things we navigate. So, what would you say? Like, let's start this topic with the unstuck part. Like,
Yeah.
tell us like where we're going to navigate with that. Where like what is it? Where would you like the conversation to go?
Ah, when you talk about being stuck, I feel like the very first thing that we need to do is really explore what stuck looks like and feels like, right? For me, being stuck, I was at a career that I had been doing I did it for a total of 10 years. But when I started making my transition out of that particular career, I was around maybe year eight. I loved this job. It provided me with opportunities to, help my mom purchase her first house. I traveled to places like Thailand and all these places. It afforded me the financial means to live a life that I thought I wanted, but I always felt like I was missing something. I always felt like my purpose wasn't quite aligned with what I was doing. And you kind of hear the whispers of it throughout time. After year five, I started kind of hearing the whispers inside of like, this is probably not for you anymore. You've done everything that you need to do. But you hold on to things that are familiar. So I held on to it for as long as I could. And then I started realizing that the thing that I love so much that helped me find purpose and helped me to do all of these things. I was making good money. It didn't love me back anymore. And that was a heartbreaking thing. So within my depression and my anxiety of losing my brother, I started noticing this because and this was actually right before the pandemic as well. So losing my brother, then the pandemic, you're at home, you have so much time to think about things, right? Because we were all working from home. I started drinking heavily and self-medicating. And I just didn't like who I was becoming. I didn't like where life was going for me. I didn't have my partner at that time. I wasn't with my wife yet. And I just felt extremely stuck. I felt stuck mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I think for folks that are looking to transition, the first thing is acknowledging that you're stuck, acknowledging that you're in a place where you no longer desire to be and it requires action. So that was me. And I tell people this story and they look at me and some people get teary-eyed. My brother came to me in the form of a black butterfly at a time where I was at my lowest. And I have that picture of that butterfly. I'll send it to you so you can see it. And I think he was trying to tell me at that time that it's time for me to start my transformation. It's time for me to start my healing. And that butterfly, I thought the wing was broken. So I picked it up. I took it out to the garden that we had in the back of my job. And it spread its wings long enough for me to take a photo of it. And I posted it on social media, not knowing the symbolism behind black butterflies. And then a good friend of mine reached out and he was like, you know what black butterflies mean when they come to see you? And I was like, no, I just thought it was a really beautiful thing that I thought the wing was broken and then it wasn't. And it allowed me to take a photo. And he was like, that's your brother. He's coming to you with a message. And then I meditated on it and I knew that he was trying to tell me it's time for me to heal. So I made a conscious effort. I'm going to move forward. I met my wife maybe a month later on a dating app called Bumble. And she talked to me about her journey with anxiety and depression. And she also deals with that and just how being in therapy changed her life. And she got me to be okay with the idea of seeking out therapy, which was the beginning of my transformation point. So beautiful story, but it's a lot in there.
It is. I feel like I feel like sometimes we almost have to die before we can be reborn. And I mean that in a means of everything falls away. It's kind of like we get into a point in our lives where things just start falling and falling. And it's scary. It's scary going through change. It's scary to, have a job change, to have a relationship change, to have a health transformation change. But sometimes it gets to the point, like if we're not listening to those inner pushes,
Yeah.
I found that sometimes it's even much harder. Like at my last role that I was at,
Hmm.
I kept getting those pushes and those pushes and those pushes and those pushes until finally the universe said, okay, this is what you're doing. And it was like a lightning bolt. Like lightning
Hmm.
bolt moment. If you don't listen to those little nudges over and over and over again, all at once, the universe
Yeah.
pushes you to do
And it gets
something.
louder and louder, and it's hard for you to
It
ignore it.
does.
So what I tell a lot of my clients is I hold space for them to start listening to that little voice when it's a whisper, because we don't want it to turn into a scream. Because when it starts screaming at you, that's usually tied to burnout. It's usually that point where things are about to go totally left. And I like to tell people you can get a hold, you can get ahead of it, you can get a hold of it, but you have to learn how it shows up in your body because your body keeps score, which is a book that I read and I loved everything about that book because it's true. Your body tells you time and time again the action that you need to take. And for me, it was showing up in the form of panic attacks. I was literally having panic attacks and had no idea that that was even a thing. And started working with my therapist. And as I was describing it to him, he was like, "You're having panic attacks, and those can lead to heart attacks." He's like, if you don't address it, if you don't start, paying attention to what your body is telling you, you can be here one day and gone the next. And I really didn't want that to be my story. So, and it's all tied into my health as well, right? Because I'm not sleeping. My eating habits were bad. I was drinking, I was smoking a bunch of cigarettes, out all types of hours of the night, just not taking care of this one body that I've had, that I've been given, that I'm supposed to nourish and take care of. So finding out where you're at and what stuck looks like, that's the first place. It's the very first thing that I think most people that are on the way to transformation need to learn how to do. But not everybody knows how. So getting help is a good place to start.
So I think what like, I'm hearing what you're saying is like getting to a point, and I know Rihanna said it really well. There's a tipping point when things have to be bad enough for us to be willing to take the risk required to change. And
Absolutely.
that for me was why I had weight loss surgery. Like that was my tipping point. I knew that it was scary to have surgery. That was really scary to me. But on the same aspect, what was it like to not change? To not change was scarier than to change.
Yeah.
So,
And
um,
it's such a scary feeling, being in that doctor's office when I found out my diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. When you hear that conversation of you have this illness that is never going away, it's almost like everything around you stops. And you instantly feel this regret and this guilt of not taking action when you had the ability to take the action. And I had to sit with that for a while. For a long time, it was hard for me to acknowledge positive emotions because I felt guilt. I felt like I had betrayed myself. I felt like I was dealing with sadness after losing my brother, all of these negative feelings. And I didn't take the time to acknowledge positive emotions, right? What are the positive things I'm looking to feel in my life? And that was in the beginning of this journey. I wanted to feel things like gratitude. I wanted to get up every morning and lead with gratitude. I wanted to feel purposeful. So I started surrounding myself with things that felt and aligned with purpose. I wanted to feel free. I wanted to feel freedom to get up one day and go sit by the pool and journal. With my full-time job, I wasn't able to do that. So when I had my surgery, I had done it when I stepped away from my job. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put my mental health first and I'm gonna allow myself to heal. And it was probably one of the best things that I could have done for myself. I lived in LA at the time. I would go up to Runyon's Canyon, me and the dog, and I just started enjoying positive emotions, which is probably one of the best things that you can do, is figuring out what those look like and how it feels in your body.
so when you're talking about knowing when there needs to be a change,
Yeah.
some of those symptoms for you was the panic attacks, it was feeling having those lower emotional states,
Yeah.
it was maybe being disconnected, like in a way that you're hiding the pain by using alcohol or drugs or
Or
food
work.
or work. You said
Hmm.
work.
Hmm.
So I know somebody here mentions feeling stuck and overwhelmed with pregnancy weight gain.
Oh, yeah.
So that, I mean, that can be, we were just talking about that before the call because Akil just had a baby, so he's trying to lose that pregnancy weight too.
We were talking about it. It's not just the mama that goes through it, the daddy goes through it as well. And in my household, we're very, very, very open about our feelings. And my wife, she's ready to get back into the gym, but she has to wait her full 6 weeks. So she's about to get cleared any minute now. And she's excited to go back to the gym. And she's like, "Are you going to start back CrossFit?" And I was like, "I was just waiting for you to give me the okay." But nobody really talks about the transitions that happen after weight loss surgery, right? Everybody thinks, well, I have my surgery, I dropped the weight, all right, I'm living my best life, I can fit in all of the clothes, but this is a journey. You're going to have some weight gain from time to time. You may deal with body dysmorphia, where you look in the mirror and you still see 300 pounds versus, the 210 or the 180 that you might have currently. It's a lot of things that come after. And I dealt with a significant amount of things that required healing, even though I was dropping my weight and I liked how I felt. I liked what I saw. Other things started populating for me that I needed to address in the midst of that healing process, too.
Well, this is a great question to kind of go along with this. Ashley says, how do you prioritize which area of stuck you need to work on first? I feel stuck in a lot of areas in my life, not just my bariatric journey.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for anybody to address with that particular question is what requires movement urgently. If it is your family dynamic, if it is your relationship with your loved one, if it is you feel stuck in a particular career, you have to find that one thing that cannot wait. And there's a lot of competing priorities in our lives, right? Life is like that. There's a bunch of things coming at you at one time. But in order for you to take action, there's one thing that probably needs to be prioritized over the others. It doesn't mean that the others are not important. We just have to figure out where in your life right now requires the most amount of movement and the most amount of support. And the only person that can answer that question for you is you. But it requires you to have a quiet space for you to think about it and to reflect on it, whether that's journaling or meditation or speaking to a therapist or speaking to a coach. There's help required there in order for you to move from point A to point B.
One thing I want to say too, and I don't know what your feelings are with this, but I found too is everything is interconnected. We don't ever put two and two together because we tend to separate things out in our life. Like this
Yeah.
is my career, this is my family life, this is my finances, this is my spirituality. But you
Yeah.
know what? They all overlap. When you start making changes in one area of your life, it overlaps and
Yeah.
literally the energy starts moving in all areas. So if you can't always pick, even doing one thing in one area likely will translate to another area, like finances. Like, let's say you don't feel like you're earning enough money.
Mhm.
Why is that? Do you feel like it's because you feel like you're undervalued? So maybe
The
that
five
translates
whys.
in a
You said a
different,
key thing. I like that. You said, why is
yeah.
that? I think that's a really important question for sure. Asking yourself why.
Because when you start like when you ask yourself a question like that is like the finances, maybe it comes into you feeling undervalued and you're undervaluing yourself.
Mhm.
So how does that in a deeper tone, like you keep asking why? So then why do I feel like that? Um, is it because you just don't you're not loving yourself enough or respecting yourself enough? Is it and then you just keep getting deeper and deeper in that. So that translates over to your weight loss journey as well, because like if you're not feeling like you're valuing yourself enough, are you not feeding yourself the right kinds of foods? Are you not nourishing yourself in the thoughts that you're thinking, the mindset that you have? So yeah, it translates.
Absolutely. One of the exercises that I learned through my coaching was the five whys. And when I tell you this exercise transformed my life and it has transformed the lives of other clients that I've worked with, and it's simply asking yourself, why? So if it's, why do I need to make the changes right now as it pertains to my finances? And it's like, well, I don't have enough. Why don't I have enough? And then you answer that, I don't have enough because my family dynamic requires me to make more money. Well, why do you need to make more money? So you ask yourself these whys until you peel the layers back, until you get to that main rooted point of why you need to take action. So that might be a great exercise for somebody to do, for them to figure out where they should start taking action first. And you said something really crucial just now, Brenda. You said, where does the energy, you said something about energy, and it instantly hit me that energy does transfer, right? It travels from point A to point B. So I like to tell people, start with your energy. If you're in lower levels of energy, why is it that you're constantly in these lower levels of energy? And when I say lower levels, we're talking about level one being more of a victimhood type of state, right? Why is this happening to me? Everything is going wrong. My life feels, like it's falling apart. Level two is anger. I'm upset. I'm really, really annoyed that these things are happening to me. So those two lower level energies are where people spend a lot of time before they start taking action or before there's a push needed to take action.
Janelle says, thanks for sharing, Akil. The 5 whys sound like a game changer.
They are exciting stuff.
I feel like it just brings you deeper and deeper and deeper because really it's that core reason. When you get down to the core reason, it's kind of eye opening. And I think really to be able to change anything, I guess, transmute it for the healing to take place. Because to me, healing is a matter of transmuting something that's causing you some kind of discomfort or pain into something that no longer triggers you in some way. Like it's just like there's no up and down. It's just
It's just healing.
zero, 0 point, I call it. There's nothing there. You feel it. You have something happen and you're not feeling like you're up here or down here or whatever. Um, so I think it gets you to that root of that. And I think once the beginning point is becoming aware. Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of people feel, when we talk about healing, a lot of people feel that in order for you to start your healing journey, you need to have hit rock bottom. You need to be broken. And I tell people all the time, yes, when you feel that sense of brokenness in you, it requires action. But some of the happiest people that I know, they don't wait for things to go completely left for them to start pouring into themselves. They are actually being proactive. So they'll ask themselves, okay, here's how I feel when I'm in higher levels of energy, when I feel great, when I feel purposeful, when I feel like the universe is aligned for me. I love this particular feeling. What can I do to make sure that when I take a dip into these negative, lower feelings, what can I do to bring me back on track? And that is work in itself, right? So there's always work to be done. I like to tell people you can never not be learning things about yourself. There's always something new to learn about you in different seasons of your life. Like right now, I love all of the opportunities that are coming to me, but I'm in a new journey. I'm a new father. I've never had children before, and I'm dealing with new emotions, both positive and negative, that I've never experienced before. So now I'm looking for community of other fathers that may have experienced the same thing, that we can talk to each other and communicate. And it's just learning about yourself in new stages is a beautiful thing. I tell people never stop learning about who you are. It's such an important thing.
Yeah. Community is so important. I think, you said something and I want to kind of go back on that. You said, trying to think here now. I lost my train of thought. Hmm,
It'll
it'll
come.
come back. It'll
It'll
come back. It'll come back.
yeah, it'll come. I see it. It's
Yeah.
right there. I
We'll
always
just
this happens to me
we'll
too.
just move, we'll just kind of keep moving on. I feel like with change so much I know what it was. When you were talking about you don't have to get into those the low, like it's okay to go into those lower states, but how long you stay there. I love that you said that. How long you stay there is a decision. And I
Hmm.
think you were talking about happiness levels in people who
Hmm.
are happy. Part of being human is seeing that contrast, seeing what you do want so you know more of what you do, seeing
Yeah.
more of what you don't want so you know what you do want. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like always deciphering. But we do have decisions in our everyday life of when we start feeling in those lower states, how long we stay there. How
Absolutely.
long, and I think that's where stuckness comes in when we feel like we can't get out. We lose that hope. We feel like we're not able, we feel in that victim state. We feel like there's nothing we can do to move out of that. And that's absolutely not true. We're never really stuck. We put ourselves there as being stuck because we think we're stuck.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I saw a quote that really resonated with me, and it was, "What you are not changing, you're choosing." And I think that sat with me for such a long time. When I first heard it, I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. And the more I sat with it, the more I wrote it down, the more I explored it in my own journey, as well as coaching other clients. It's such a true statement because even when we're stuck, we have to make the decision to want to move forward. You have to have a desire to say, hey, enough is enough, and I'm ready to move forward. Other than that, if you're still there and you're still navigating it, it's okay for you to take your time navigating it. And I never want to tell somebody how long to stay in that space or how quickly they should move out of that space because it's different for everybody. So my thing is you stay there until you do it until you get tired. That's what I tell my wife. Whenever we're having things that are building frustration in us or in our home, it's do it until you get tired. And when we get tired enough, we will take action. But we need to figure out what taking action looks like. So, finding out, for example, how stress shows up in your body allows you to figure out how to maneuver and how to move forward. If stress shows up in your body in neck pains or back pains, there are things that you can do to mediate that pain before it gets to that point. If stress is showing up in the way you respond to people, maybe it's the people that you're around. Maybe you need to be around a different type of people, like person that can bring out the best in you, being around people that you can look up to and you can learn from. You're going to go in with a different aspect, you're going to go in with a different perspective. So it's really about self-reflection. I think self-reflection, this whole conversation of moving from unstuck to thriving is about self-reflection and taking action when you're ready to take that action, when you feel equipped and when you feel like you've had enough and you're ready to move forward into this new space.
Too, Ashley here says, I feel afraid to make change because of failure. And I totally get that. Sometimes I think you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like you
Mhm.
have to know that you take one step and then know that it might be a little uncomfortable. Going to the gym the first time,
Mhm.
trying a different meal plan, having weight loss surgery, obviously that's a big one. Maybe it's a job change. I know you work with people with that. Those things can make you feel so uncomfortable, like it just almost is nauseating because you're so, maybe it's the fear of failing or trying something and it not working. But think about what it's like to stay in that place of not doing anything. That's uncomfortable too. So it's like, do you want to be uncomfortable with trying something new in that discomfort, or you want to be, you want to stay where you are and be uncomfortable with just staying where you are?
Yeah, actually, I can relate. I'm a recovering perfectionist in all aspects, and it was bred into my priming to always give your best foot forward and always show up. And I always the analogy I was given one time is if somebody comes to your house, you don't just give them a sandwich, you give them a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a glass of milk and a cookie. So that type of priming sticks with you, especially if you're in a family of high achievers. You tend to have a fear around failure because it comes with judgment. It comes with oftentimes with the feeling of inadequacy. And my thing is, I literally had to learn how to fail quickly. And it took me stepping away from my corporate job into entrepreneurship, into, social impact entrepreneurship, I would say, for me to understand that failing is a good thing. And learning how to fail quickly is an art that people have to learn over time. Being able to fail at something and saying, okay, I see where I went wrong. Now I gotta get back on the horse and I gotta move again. It's called iterations, right? So different iterations, you keep trying it until you get to a point where you feel good. What happens with a lot of people is you get so stuck in your head around taking the action and wanting to make it perfect. By the time you actually are ready to make the jump to make it happen, you've either lost interest in it, or somebody else has done it if you're looking to launch a product or a service, or you just keep talking yourself out of it. And before you know it, it's been 5 years, and this dream that you once have had is now in the grave with all of the other things that you aspired to do but never took action on. So double down, bet on yourself is what I tell people, and try it in the most basic of forms. Give it a go. Try it and see how it works for you, and be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself as well.
Yeah. Ashley says you hit the head on the nail, and Rihanna says fall, fail quickly. So important, and learn from each failure. And
Mhm.
then Ashley says I'm struggling um, with a late diagnosis of ADHD, so jumped around a lot. I kind of think probably a lot of people are undiagnosed with that. Our thoughts go in a million different places,
Mhm.
and just bringing those thoughts back to be able to focus on one thing at a time. I think in society too, we're also taught to multitask, like that you're
Yeah.
having to do 10 things at one time.
I,
So,
and very late in life, also got diagnosed with inattentive moderate ADHD. And it was something that I struggled with for a while, even through high school, through my the years that I did go to college. It was this, I always lost interest in things pretty quickly. And I would be doing one thing, and then before you know it, my brain would just kind of switch, and now I'm focused on something else. And I never would see things through completely. And it took me a long time to actually go get tested and diagnosed. And at that time, I actually found out I was diagnosed with depression as well as anxiety. Before I would self, diagnose. Now I actually had the diagnosis, and it's actually really different when a doctor is telling you, hey, these are things that you're dealing with, and you have to take medication for it in order for you to adjust. I'm a big natural medicine person. I like teas, I like tinctures, those types of things. But some things require, medical intervention in order for you to change the chemistry within your brain. And I'm so glad that I found out about my diagnosis, because I got on a medication that allowed me to quiet the noise in my head so that I can focus on finishing tasks and being more creative, and just spending the time efficiently instead of being anxious that I'm not going to deliver as expected. So I hope you find your way to health and wellness. Rihanna, I think is the name. You're gonna have it's a beautiful thing once you figure out the triggers and how to combat it. So would love to talk to you more about that. There's not many people that are open to having that conversation around ADHD and how it affects their lives.
yeah, Janelle also is saying something about diagnosed with some late diagnosis, autism, ADHD. I feel like Akeel, I've struggled with the same thing too, because my background is nursing, and I went from a stage of working in the hospital setting for so many years. I worked in ER for 20 some years, and just seeing people come in with bags of medicine, and like that was like being in an ER, a lot of the treatment that you're doing is with medications. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just felt almost overwhelmed to the point where I was just like this can't always be good and blah blah blah. And I started going into holistic medicine, and really studied that for still studying that, but that was like a focus. And then I kind of got to this black and white area. Like everything, I felt like everything had to be holistic, and everything had to be,
Yeah.
which there's nothing wrong with that approach, but we found a big gap, because like whenever I had my weight loss surgery, then I it was hard for me because I was just like okay, this is modern medicine. I'm gonna,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be doing both. And then I just found this happy place of, you know what? There's gifts here with, like you said, changing your chemistry by taking certain medications,
Mhm.
doing certain things the Western world way. And there's also ways of doing it the Eastern world way and combining those things. And it's not just like that with Eastern and Western medicine. I think that our thinking processes with so many different things, if you can blend them and
Yeah.
like not be so black and white, it can be helpful.
Absolutely. I'm a big advocate of getting what you need when you need it. And in a lot of instances, you can do non-traditional holistic medicine as well as Western medicine. There's room for both. A good example is I take my vitamins still. I love ProCare vitamins, and actually my favorite flavors come from ProCare. But I've also started doing CMOS. And CMOS gives you over 100 and something nutrients that the body requires, right? And I use both. I feel great when I take my CMOS. I feel great when I take my vitamins. When I take them together, my body's getting everything that it needs. I love the idea of doing CMOS. I've taken CMOS since I was a child. It's a very popular um, treatment or remedy in the Caribbean. We do a lot of plant medicine in the Caribbean as well. And I'm just learning now. I just got this book. I can't remember the name of it, but it has all these different plants and how you can use them to treat ailments. My wife is now making tinctures. We're playing around with it, but we still take our Western medicine as well because sometimes if you can't just stop medication when you start it as well. That can actually end really badly as well. So you kind of have to taper yourself off of medication. So talking to your physicians and your CPC as well around your holistic care, sometimes you teach them things that they didn't know, and then they merge it in their own practice. So like you sharing your story and the different things that you're doing can actually help other people as well. So platforms like this are really important so we can get that message out as well.
Absolutely. It's about changing. I think you were talking about chemistry. It's changing the energy around things. Like there's different things that you can do that. There's
Mm.
so many different ways, whether it's medicine, surgery, supplements, the forms of the holistic things, because everything has an energy about it. You know, the seaweed has I Celtic salts. I've tried some of those. I mean, there's just so many different things. And what you're drawn to is probably what is needed for you because there's everybody's bodies and chemistries are different.
Absolutely.
Um, so Akil, we're kind of getting closer. Oh, there's a question here. Let me get that question. How do you approach coaching someone who may need a career change?
Oh, I love that question. How do I coach somebody that is at the point that they need to make a career change? Before we even make that career change, we need to find out what your zone of genius is what I like to tell people, and does it align with your purpose? And those are the two things that we need to explore first, because the last thing we want to do is have you make a rash decision about leaving a job and just jump out there with no plan, no parachute, because that always ends badly. And I luckily had a coach that walked me through it when I was ready to do it. We worked together for a long period of time. We talked about my finances. We talked about where I saw myself in 3 years, 5 years, 1 year. And it all leaded back to me wanting to do purpose work, me feeling useful, me using my skills that I didn't have to go learn in order for me to make them transferable to a new particular role. And I just happened to wanted to pursue coaching. Uh, Jumped out there, wanted to do the entrepreneurship thing, but then realized there are companies out there that will hire a coach like myself, and then they will send me clients. So I spent more time coaching versus looking for clients, right? It really You really have to do that self reflection. You have to figure out what your zone of genius is. What is it that you are excited about? What is it that you love about it? And can you see yourself doing it for the rest of your life or the rest of the time that you have here? And are you okay with taking a pay cut in order for you to be happier? Are you okay with changing the dynamic and maybe going into a part-time capacity so you spend more time with your family, your core values, your zone of genius, and what your purpose is. Those three things need to be in alignment in order for us to be super successful to make that transformation or that transitional change.
Wow, that was impactful. Thanks for that answer.
Absolutely.
How
Hopefully that
about, yes, very helpful. How about if somebody's wanting to make a health change?
a health change. This is one that I'm gonna I'm gonna lean into this one because I had to experience it myself. Health changes are directly tied to your why. Yes, you have to take, action because, the end result of not taking care of your health is inevitably, you probably passing away and leaving a void in the lives of the people you love most. My thing is, I really wanted to be here for I know I've always wanted to be a father. That's something I've always wanted to be as long as I could remember. I want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle. I want to be able to, if I had a son, I want to be able to see him thrive and become an emotionally intelligent young man. Like I wanted to be part of those things. I want to be able to play with them without feeling these ailments in my body. And then I also wanted to live a life of purpose with my wife. I wanted us to travel and see places and go rock climbing. So my thing is, yes, I have a diagnosis that's lifetime, but that doesn't have to define who I am. So I made a conscious effort to change my life so that I can add on years instead of taking years away. Because oftentimes, if you don't address your health issues, what you're doing is taking years off of your life. And with my younger brother passing, I now feel like I need to live for two, right? He was 14 when he passed. February 13 passed, he would have been 21. So I now feel like I need to live life for him because he doesn't have the opportunity to experience all of the things that I will. So whenever I'm doing new things or I'm taking on new challenges, I'm doing it for the two of us. And I'm carrying on his legacy and my daughter. She is named after him. So her name is Robin Terrell, and his name was Terrell. So she now gets to live a legacy on behalf of her uncle and do things that he didn't get a chance to do in his young age. So it's really about self-reflection and making the choice to want to live better and to add years instead of deducting years from your life. Because we don't know when is our last day. So you got to live it fully and to the fullest every day that we have the opportunity to.
And I think too, what you were talking about career and what you were talking about health, career, your why is important. You were talking, you tied in purpose, you tied in your core values to that, and you also tied in your skills. When you're talking about health on the same thing, you could also bring those over. What are your core values? What is your purpose for living? Those things that you were just talking about, those all tie into the why. And even that zone of genius, like what skills like do you already know? Like I always think like what's worked for me before and what hasn't worked for me before when I'm talking about my health.
Mhm.
Um, Sometimes having those little pieces to kind of tie in, like those
Yeah.
habits and things.
With social media now, you have access to everything and everybody's journey. So I think sometimes, you have to hit reset. Sometimes you have to step out of your traditional spaces and talk to people too that have experienced similar health issues, and are have moved from stuck to thriving, right? And talking to them and actually learning about their journeys instead of just what you see. Because oftentimes people only really show you the great. They only really show you the beautiful part of it, right? Like I lost this weight. This is me and my new body. I feel good. But oftentimes people don't talk about all of the things that happen on the back end or under the surface, right? The sleepless nights, the many tears, the scares at the doctor, the conversations with the loved ones where your husband or wife is basically saying we might have to go ahead and talk about creating a will, what happens when we pass away. Those types of conversations are crucial to have, especially when you're going through health transformations, because we just never know what's going to happen. So it's better to be uncomfortable and have those conversations and prepare for them so that you're not, dealing with them reactively, but you're dealing with them proactively. In my household, we have those conversations all the time, especially right when my wife was about to give birth to our daughter. I had to have a very uncomfortable conversation around if anything goes left, what do we do? Am I going to make an emotional decision or am I going to make a logical decision, right? So, emotional versus logical as well. When you're talking about your health, you definitely need to hold space for those two points of views.
Yeah. So Akil, tell us, you shared a link with me before this, and it was on a method.
Yes,
It's
PERMA
selling.
method.
Yes. Do you want me to, do we want to talk just a moment about that?
Absolutely. So at the beginning of my transformation journey, while I was working with my therapist, and then also when I moved into working with my coach, there was one particular method that I used religiously, and that is the PERMA method by Dr. Nicholas Stielig, I believe is his name. And this is a five-step method that focuses on helping somebody to move into a wellness state of being. So the acronym is PERMA. The P stands for positive emotions, and how you navigate those positive emotions, how you identify them, and what positive emotions you want to feel every day within the work and the life that you live, right? The work that you do, the life that you live. The E is for engagement. What activities can you fully immerse yourself in that feel purposeful and feel fulfilling? It might be meditation, it might be you taking walks. For me, it's understanding how my breath works, right? So for me, I heard somebody say it earlier in another call, my breath is my pharmacy. That's stuck with me, right? You have the ability to heal yourself just through your breath. So finding engaging activities to really immerse yourself in is another one. So you have PER is for relationships. Uh, who do you have around you? Who's wearing your team t-shirt? Your therapist, your coach, your support system. That can be your partner. It can be your peers, other people that are pouring into your cup while you're pouring into others. It's really important that you have a strong support system around you. And the M, meaning, meaningfulness. Like, what does life mean to you in this season of your life? And really exploring that at a very deep level. And then the A is where the celebration happens. It's the accomplishment of it. What does accomplishment look like for you, not just tangibly, but also emotionally, spiritually, and mentally? So I highly suggest folks look into the PERMA method. It is a particular method that I'm going to be implementing into my coaching strategy moving forward to help people move into a better state of wellness that is sustainable as well.
I was copying things over to Facebook so that they'd have the link and stuff.
You are
Um, Akil, I know that you're on several platforms. I'm going to copy over your Instagram, your LinkedIn, and your TikTok.
welcome.
And that will be, if anybody is listening to the replay later, those will be in the description so that people will have those. Is there anything you'd like to say regarding that as far as people working with you or being a part of what you're doing?
Absolutely. So the easiest way to find me is definitely by DMing me on Instagram, or if you are on LinkedIn, I spend a significant amount of time on LinkedIn. So any one of those platforms, TikTok, I'm trying to get a little bit better at. Um, I think TikTok, I'm still trying to hack that one yet, but you can reach me on any one of those platforms. I'm currently in the process of rebranding my website and all of these things to make it more simplified. I think this angle of just really helping people bridge the gap and transition into these different spaces in their life with ease and clarity is really where I want to go. So I'm happy to be doing that. So if you feel like you want to do a free discovery call, I offer those. You get almost like a free coaching session. My discovery calls are 45 minutes, and you get to experience coaching with me in real time. And you leave that call with knowledge, I would say, with wisdom in some way, shape, or form. So shoot me a DM. Let me know if you want to explore that. And I'm happy to meet with you and talk about how we can get you on your way to living the life that you've always wanted to live.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, we are going to, before we jump off, I'm going to also do a quick little shout out to our sponsor. So I'm going to be pulling up our website, the ProCare Health website. So jump onto there. Um, ProCareNow.com if you're looking for our sponsor, ProCareNow.com. And ProCare Health is a vitamin and supplement company. And what they're known for is being one of the lowest cost on the market as far as multivitamins. Coming out with all kinds of new stuff here recently. On our banner, as you go to the website right now, we do have our new product drop, which is our peaches and cream calcium chews. They have a peachy flavors. So if you're looking for calcium with a little bit of peach, peach is one of my favorite colors. So love that. We also have a new iron and vitamin C supplement that's just come out. It's with chelated iron, which is really easy for your stomach to handle if you're needing a little bit more supplementation with that. Either along with your multivitamin, or if you're taking a multivitamin and you're struggling with the iron in it, you could do one without and then take this as an extra. It is 60 milligrams of iron, so it is higher than the normal 45 in most of your supplements that you're going to see. And then ProCare just came out with a new shop and pay later, which is afterpay. So any orders over $75 do get free shipping. So if you're wanting to take advantage of that and do the aftercare, you can save a little bit of money with that. Also, we just came out with, I'm going to kind of skip over the DS here. We came out with a price match guarantee. So if you're finding a vitamin and supplement that you want to make sure that you're getting the lowest and you found one that's lower for some reason, you're welcome to call our help number, support number at the top of our website, and they can help you with the price match guarantee. Also, just want to mention this is something I feel like I probably need to do just a live event on this itself. It's our new metabolic G3A. It's a GLP-1 companion.
Yeah.
You can also use it alternatively to a GLP-1, and basically it does some of the same things that you will find in the shots that a lot of people are now taking. It helps with appetite suppression. It helps with blood sugar regulation, cravings, a lot of those same things you get. It also has a probiotic in it, one of the only ones out there that does have that. Right now, we do have a special going since it's a brand new product. Buy two, get one free with code NG3A. So I'm gonna stop sharing there. Well, actually, I want to say one other thing. ProCare, we do these events on right now. We're doing them on a weekly basis. Very soon, we're going to be cutting back on the number of these that we're doing, just because of manpower hours. And so anytime you want to come in and look at what we're currently have going, this event is listed under the Bari Connected page. I do have that pulled up, and that's under the tab resources. Akeel's event is listed on this page. It'll be listed there till the end of this month. You can go back, listen to the replay. Sometimes for me, I like going back and listening to replays because you find things like the first time you listen, especially if you have ADHD, you're kind of like here and there, your mind's going everywhere. You find one little point that Akeel says it and you're like, oh yeah, and you start going off in that direction, and it takes a minute to get back. So come back, listen in. We also do have all of our events on this page, are linked to our YouTube channel and also our Bari Connected page and group on Facebook. Come and join our YouTube, our Facebook page, and our group to become part of our community. So on Facebook, on YouTube right now, we have 511 videos. So guys, there is like literally any topic you can think of. Akeel's event will be listed there next Tuesday. We list all of our events coming up. If you press the subscribe button, which is up here at the top when you come to the page, you'll get a notification of when new things are listed.
That's
So,
exciting. Great time. I'm so glad that you have me on. I actually have one last announcement because I um I believe in intentionality, and I was talking to a mentor of mine before hopping on the call, and I told him that I was going to be doing a podcast, and it was titled Unstuck and Thriving. And he said to me, he's like, "So when are you writing the book?" And I'm like, "I'm guess I'm going to start writing on it." So right at this moment, I'm making a conscious promise to myself to start writing the book Unstuck and Thriving. It will be my first attempt at writing a book. And, when it launches, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to say when it launches, I would love to come back and share that with the audience at Let's Get Bari Connected. So that's me doing accountability,
yes.
holding myself.
Yes. He's going to be back, guys. He's going to come in, give us all an update when this book is written. We're not going to put a timeline on it. Let me tell you, Akeel, I always told myself I was going to write a book. And honestly, I wrote it. That was back in 2011. I wrote the book and never did anything with it. And then this last year, I made it into a course. And
Okay.
so, you know what? It's regardless what it was at 11, that's 13, 14 years ago. So this last year, I launched a course on holistic health and did it. And I think it was just the fear that was holding me back. So I know you're going to do this and I know it's going to happen. It might be, maybe it'll be next year. Who knows? Let's see
I'm
how
putting
fast it happens.
I'm gonna
See
do
how
it.
fast it happens.
Me putting it out in the ecosystem. This is me moving from stuck into thriving. So you're seeing it in real time. I speak it and I put it out into the ether. Now I gotta go make it happen. And I've already started, writing little pieces to it, and it should be super easy for me to transition it into what it's going to become. So I
There's
appreciate
already people that want to buy it.
you. That makes me feel good. Thanks, guys.
um, Yes, yes. And I'm replying. For some reason on my phone, it's not showing up comments. So I apologize those of you who commented. Thanks, Tony, for he's commenting. He's here with us, Tony Doyle, which I know you probably know Akeel. He's an
Yes. Hey,
amazing
Tony.
person. Um, Thanks guys for joining us on both platforms. And we thank each of you for taking time for yourself and pouring into yourself to make yourself the best version because
Absolutely.
it's a ripple effect, right, Akeel? It's a ripple
Yeah.
effect.
And you deserve it. Making time for yourself to share spaces like this with people like myself and Brenda. This is how we get the message out. We help each other, through difficult times, and then we celebrate together when we cross our milestones. So I'm glad to be part of this community and looking forward to seeing all of the amazing guests that you have next and to learning from each one of them as well.
Yes. Thank you guys for the wonderful comments. Take care, everybody. Have a blessed day. And until we see you next time, let's stay very connected. Bye, everybody.